Hey, it's Friday night, and welcome to the Fancaste episode 48. I am your host, Brainmuffin the Lifting Nerd, or Channel Dad, or whatever you want to call me. And with me is a regular, but not a square, Locomotive Pro.
So, guys, I have a fun fact to tell you. Did you know Lape is so old, he once turned all the water in Egypt into beer, then gave it a bad review?
Didn't you use that joke last week? I've heard that one.
Yeah, but I wanted to repeat it. Don't worry, I got a few more.
And that little snicker you heard came from Superfan TapAndDie. Say hello.
Hello. Great to be here tonight.
So, unfortunately, I don't know Spanish, or we'd just do the whole show in Spanish, and that would help our ratings a lot. So.
No,
would it?
I don't speak the rice and beans.
I said Spanish, not Mexican. Come on, let's actually speak Spanish, not what they speak south of the border.
My Mexican is not enough. But first of all, we could all speak Spanish on a regular show, and we still would not get the numbers. The moment one of us, whether it be Lape going into a spinal form of alt-right Lape, or me going on like why I hate X and then insert minority rant like I always do, our numbers would plummet immediately.
Well, we can.
If anything, that might be the first time we might get flagged.
We can.
And the only time.
With a Castilian accent. Senor, you are very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. Yeah, it seems very dead tonight. That's one of the things with this microphone. There's so few sounds it picks up when I have my headphones on. It's like being in a soundproof room. It's very strange. Not quite like a studio, but and I've got an extra computer on my desk, so I'm having to kind of work around it. It's annoying, but it's a Windblows machine. Thank you very much, Apple, and your desire to not support my old hardware. So shove it up your butt. But it's only $560 machine, so it's not that great. But it's doing other things while I'm talking to you guys. So how's everybody's Friday?
Good so far. Glad to be home from work.
Yep, my wife and I went out for dinner and still had time to more or less get back on time. Deal with the dogs, and then I had to deal with the consequences of the green hot sauce from the Peruvian restaurants. Good stuff, but you know what I mean?
So you had some of that now.
Yeah, it's good. I had beefsteak something. But basically, it's a flat steak with 2 eggs on top of it, 2 fried eggs, over hard apparently, and then underneath some rice and sweet plantains and French fries. It's quite a bit of food. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
And I actually, and that hot sauce is usually so hot that I barely get through 1 cup of it, but I actually had to ask for a second one because it wasn't as hot tonight. I don't know what they've done differently. I don't know if they've toned it down. We haven't been there in many, many months. So, but it's over on Route 4 in Fairfield for anybody who knows. It's something Peruvian. It's Sabaro Peruvian, something like that. So it used to be down the street, and then that building burned down, and now they're like a dance hall or something. I don't know. There's a dance floor, and dude, I looked at I don't know if they moved these things around and they're just sitting where they had the speakers, because there's like an area for a band to be, and they've got 8 speakers, big. I mean, almost as tall as I am. Woofer tweeter stacks. I got 4 on each side, and underneath each one of them is a subwoofer. I'm like, you don't need that much bass. Holy crap! Unless they put them around and they don't play it as loud. So that's the one thing. If you can distribute your speakers properly, you don't have to crank it up to fill the void with sound. So it sounds like it's coming from everywhere. I don't know. It's a place that I don't think I want to be there when they're actually dancing and having a band. I think it's going to be way too loud. So, but anyway, it's good stuff. You guys ever had Peruvian?
No.
No.
A little here and there.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff. It's a bit different. It's not your Mexican food. It's not. It's Peru, so it's going to be a little bit different. But it's good stuff. It's still simple. A lot of it with potatoes and egg and cheese. They have this creamy cheese sauce that's pretty good, and rice and stuff like that. So, and my rice was regular, but my wife's whatever she had cilantro and some other stuff in the rice. It was dirty rice. It was good.
Well, Peruvian will send you to the bathroom, but it won't send you to the emergency room.
Right. If you get dysentery, it's part of the experience. It's authentic that way, right? It's like a good Mexican restaurant. It's the same way.
Well, of course.
You know.
I would rather eat there. Be honest with you, because one of the biggest pet peeves of mine, especially here in New York City, is people won't stop bitching about how good Chipotle is, and I am like that is, and this is me saying this. I consider that to be an insult to Mexican food because I am like, this is just a fancier version of Taco Bell. Stop telling me Chipotle's shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's Taco Bell at I don't know what prices. I mean, it's $4 to get an extra scoop. It's like, good grief, that's how much you used to give us, and now we have to get an extra, and it's $4, and everything's gone up. And then apparently they've had several bouts. My wife was telling me the other day they had some other bouts of where they were making people sick somewhere, and I'm like, didn't they shut down every restaurant last year for like a week to clean everything, teach people what to do or something?
It's worse than Subway.
I know. Yeah, it's really weird. It's like, really, you guys need to work at it that much?
Hey, that's why I stick to Taco Bell all the time.
At least
I
you know
what
what
it
you're
is
doing.
with people. I know it's with people. They say that, you're just shitting all day. Everyone wants to have a weak stomach because I've never had a problem with any food making me want to give me the shits. So I don't know what's going on.
It's
Maybe I'm
you're
just
still
the
young.
only one.
Yeah, it's because you're still young. Believe me, once you get to our age, you are at the age where you start farting if you eat the wrong thing.
Yeah, I'm at the never trust a fart stage of life.
Oh, God.
I'm not quite
have
don't pass up a bathroom, but getting there.
I do have a question for you, gentlemen. Of the two, if you had to choose between the two, which would you consider to be the least deadly choice? Taco Bell or White Castle?
Golly day. I don't even remember what decade I last had a White Castle in.
Oh, shit.
Never had White Castle, so I wouldn't know.
Well, do they have Crystal down there where you are?
The what?
Do they have Crystal restaurant? Crystal,
so.
Krystal. I thought that was
They have. I've never seen it.
Okay. I know they have them in Tennessee. But that's similar to a White Castle, except it's a solid burger. But basically a White Castle is this, have you ever had a steak-'em?
No.
They're like this, they take the meat and process it until it's like as thin as, a layer of skin, basically. And you get a couple of those. But basically, it's a really thin burger. They actually have, I don't know if they still do, but the way the White Castles got started, they had holes in it so that it would cook evenly and quickly. It's maybe, 2.5 inches on a side, something like that. Maybe 3. Wouldn't you say, L&P, how big the White Castle is? Or have you not had it either?
Yeah, it's about maybe 2.5 by 2 to 3 inch squares.
Right.
They're
And
not
then
really that big.
the bun is, the bun's nice and fluffy and it's steamed and they come in a carton. Basically, you eat it. They're like 3 bites. With pickles and onions, and I think there's mustard on it or something. I mean, we've got White Castles around here. I just haven't been to one in so long. But
so, when the last time you had White Castle, was the king and queen still there?
very funny.
I told you. I'm not gonna.
That was
I'm
so
not
long
gonna
ago. It was called the Anglo Castle.
Oh shit!
There you go.
Anglo Castle.
Anglo-Saxon.
Yeah. It was the Gringo Castle.
Oh man, my people didn't even exist yet.
Yeah. I don't know. I know I had. Like Crystal. I think White Castle eventually did. I know when we moved back to Tennessee in the 80s, Crystal also went. They actually had regular sized burgers and stuff like that. But but Crystal, golly, I don't know if I ever had any in the 80s. I know it must have been in the 70s. So maybe early 80s for both of them. So maybe 35 years I haven't had either of them. I would take Taco Bell most likely, and I would take Taco Bell over Skyline. And I used to love Skyline. I used to have that all the time. I'm turning my gain down or up because I am redlining like crazy. That's too much. I'm going to do it the other way. I'm going to turn my gain up. Yeah, last week's episode, I was really scratchy. I don't know what the heck I was doing wrong other than my voice. But, yeah, it was very Skyline, and I don't agree at all anymore. It's really sad. It makes me sad. I don't know what to do. I'm just going to complain, as Kendo would say.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you're hearing right now is dementia. We will be taking Brian Lynch to get himself checked out later tonight.
This is what Kendo's going to sound like in 5 years. Jeff, Dion, F you.
Oh, shit. Shots fired.
Big rig.
Can you imagine all four of them as really, really old men?
Oh, yeah. They're just going to be mumbling. Big rig. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, I can see Kendo like in an oval song, like, I used to be a bullshitter. Like, yes, Mr. What's his last name? Hoffer, Mr. Hoffer. I don't remember his last name, but they'll be like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Hofer is his last name.
Hofer, okay, Hofer. Be like, yes, Mr. Hofer, you were a bullshitter. Now take your medicine.
Right. Swallow
baby.
You have to swallow all of the pills.
Where the white women at?
Yeah, it's Dion. Where the white women at? They promised me white women. What the hell? Yeah, I don't know how many times I heard the big rig. The weekend we were up there at Horror Hound, I had no freaking clue what they were talking about. None. I didn't know the background of it. And then they explained it to me, and it was because I hadn't heard the show. I mean, I don't get to hear the show on Thursday nights live anymore, or very little of it. I have to go to bed. There's other things going on. And so on that Friday, I hadn't had time to even listen to the show. And of course, they don't want to listen to the show driving to Indianapolis. They were on the show. It's kind of like this show. I listened to enough of this show to make sure that the levels are okay. And, or like last week when I was trying to clean up my audio, but wasn't successful because I really don't know what I'm doing. And then I process it and upload it and listen a little bit to make sure it's okay. And that's it, so heck, I don't watch all my own videos half the time. So all those views are not mine. It's a conspiracy. It's a lie. It's the gay frogs trying to turn me French. Or is it the French frogs trying to turn me gay? Which way does that meme go?
It's the chemicals in the water.
The chemicals in water.
Which came first, the gay or the frog?
The gay or the frog? I don't know. You mean frog as in a euphemism for French people?
So the French were always gay.
Yeah. Well, they were the Franks before they were the French, and they were Germanic, and then they turned Latin. It's all the Romans' fault.
Oy.
Who? Did you say who?
I said boom.
Oh, boom.
Knowledge drop.
Yes, that's history for you. Look it up. I know they lied to you. The history books lied to everybody. Just watch a David Icke video. It's all Saturn's fault because Saturnism is Satanism.
Well, as things with the French go, in a couple years, for all we know, they might not even be the French anymore.
They'll be Arabs. Or the Moroccans or whatever they're letting in their country. Yeah, the Germans, although the Germans, now this is scary. The brain dead on both sides. So you have the people that, we need to let more immigrants in without any, concept of what immigrants previously did, where they tried to assimilate and they came to whatever country to be a part of that country for a better life. They're not just coming for free handouts and phones and sit on their butts and raping women. And so you have all these crime statistics and all this stuff's going up. So now you're starting to get people who are starting to not buy the party line. And I've seen some videos in Germany and they get really upset. And it's like, this is the whole plan. The whole plan is to have one side of morons who support the government policy without question. And the other side, these irate, and it's not alt-right. It's just two sides. It could be up and down for all I care. But that's the whole point. They want the vast majority. If they can get 35% of the people in one corner yelling at the 35% of the people in the other corner, and the other 30% lost, dazed, and confused, they'll control the crap out of us. And they'll just swing the pendulum back and forth. Hey, the population's getting too high. We need some rabble-rousers to reach up and let's start a war for a few years and kill a few million people. Okay, everything's cool. Just let it rock back and forth. So how's that for your conspiracy theory?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what's going on right now, and it's pretty much what's going to keep happening. So I don't know if it will really be much of a conspiracy.
Yeah. But no, it's the divide and conquer, Keep you looking.
No.
It's the magician, right?
It would be
right.
if what you're saying is true, and this is the grand plan of Mama Merkel. In which case, that would imply Mama Merkel is actually smart. So that would be the conspiracy.
Yeah. Well, she's just a pawn. She's just doing what she's been told to do. Merkel couldn't find herself out of a paper bag. But, because if you're smart, you're not going to get elected properly.
Sure.
They can't control you. They can't manipulate you if you're thinking. So.
Well,
and she was part of the. Well, Merkel was part of the Stasi anyway. She was part of the East German secret police, so she knows what's up.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I miss the Stasi.
Yeah, Dad used to talk about them all the time, man. He kept saying it, and Stasi, and I'm like, I don't know who this guy El Stasi is, but damn, he sounded like such a badass. He would go busting people's heads in, and anybody looked at him the wrong way. Oh man, I wish he never went back to Argentina.
You don't cry for it, huh?
Every day.
In every way. 3 times on Saturdays. Guys, see, this is what I don't. Here's something I don't understand about, and I don't know if it's this mic. I don't know what it is, but there is even on our early shows, when I listened to the big show, and they used to record in Skype just like what we're doing, there was other noise. There was other things going on that sounded more involved. It's not just the enthusiasm. And there's something when we record, it just sounds so sterile. I feel like I'm listening to the Howard Stern show or something, where everything is just too polished. And we're not professional by any stretch of the imagination, and I'm not going to pretend I even know what I'm doing half the time. But it's just weird. Just something I noticed. I don't know what it is. I guess one of you got to start playing PS3 games in the background or something like Dion does. So this is what I'm saying.
Let me just get the PlayStation real quick.
It must be timing or something, because I stopped talking and you guys are like, no one says anything. Dead air.
Well,
we don't want dead
I'm afraid to interrupt people.
Nah, it's okay. Interrupt if you have something that's, something to say. Not to be a
The Romans didn't do nothing wrong.
No, they did not.
They just brought civilization.
Oh, that's one of my favorite scenes in Life of Brian. What have the Romans done for us?
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. I think I saw a clip because I've been wanting to see that movie, just haven't had a chance.
Yeah, I mean, now there you go. There'd be a dream party, because if you get the right video version, you got the full Monty and everything. So there you have that if you want. Multi-talented Japanese American beauty. Yeah, this might work.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. In the interest of you guys, we're looking for hot Japanese women for the thumbnail.
Yeah, I don't know. She's got a butt, but she's a board the rest of the way around. So, okay, so you guys had some various topics to talk about. So one of them was, in Congress they had some hearings on online censorship, and they had the president of Twitter up there like, oh, we don't do anything. And then the very next day they whack Alex Jones and InfoWars and Paul Joseph Watson from Twitter. But there's no censorship. And who was it?
Clearly
was it
we're no boogeymen.
I forget who they had. The Republicans had in Congress that time. There was something else going on. It's like people who really know about the topic were in other committee meetings, and the morons who don't know up from down were the ones that they were all talking to. It's the same. It's the same garbage nonsense we dealt with in the 90s under Clinton, where they were going to, go against Microsoft and they were going to do all this stuff, and none of the stuff they talked about was even relevant. It wasn't even proper or correct. And it's the same garbage all over again. It's the same kind of dog and pony show. It's all BBS. So, but the Twitter stock has been taking a nosedive. So I think people are starting to wise up, because what's starting to happen even on Facebook and YouTube is your left-leaning wackos are getting booted off too. And they're like, hey, wait a minute, you're only supposed to censor the people we disagree with. And as we've talked about before, I think it's because they're trying to make it more friendly to corporate America. And corporate America doesn't like the controversy. No matter what your controversy is, whether you're an Alex Jones or a Mother Jones. See, no one gets that. No one gets that.
Mother Jones?
Why do I have a feeling that's part of a cult?
It's an online magazine. It's a very leftist, alt-left magazine. Whitey, kill all Whitey.
Halfway right.
Yeah.
At least halfway.
So, but more and more people are being booted off of that, and it's so they're starting to wake up. But again, it's almost I'm such like a broken record with it. I'm becoming a meme. But if you're looking to Congress to solve anything, they're going to solve nothing. They don't know what they're doing. So why do we keep going back to them?
I don't know. I think it's just one of those things that where people, because the whole thing that bothered me back when we, like earlier into the year, and when we started having the whole net neutrality debate, was first of all the fact that they kept calling it net neutrality, and that you had all these corporations that were in quote unquote in favor of it. And I'm like, does nobody here see the obvious? Does nobody kind of like put two and two together and realize this is not net neutrality? And I think at the time I was in that minority of where I'm like, listen, something here doesn't sound right to me. Why is this getting overwhelming support? And why are even people like, even those close in government supporting this? That does not sound right. Something is up. I think one of the only other people that I saw on YouTube that even went out of their way to say, hey guys, let's be a little cautious here, was Razorfist, who said it's not net neutrality, they're just calling it that so that it will get people riled up and in support for it. Because I remember I brought that up as a talk, I brought that up in a conversation once, and people are like, oh, so you're for online censorship. I am like, listen, if you want online censorship, I'm not for it. You listen to how I speak. This is how I feel. Everybody should have the right to speak. You say what's on your mind, as blatantly offensive as you want to be. If you want to be an asshole, go ahead and be an asshole. That to me, if I feel like everybody should have that right to be an asshole online, then to me that is not censorship. It's just one of those things that bother me, and it still does. I know I keep bringing it up late, but do you remember Net Zero?
That sounds familiar.
Okay, so I know it's sometime in the 90s, maybe early 2000s. This is, early days of modern day internet. We still had like those free America Online, Trout, internet, this stuff like that. I think they had a few other type of internet service providers at the time.
Right.
But one of the few service providers that really stood out to me, it was something that was introduced to me from some random asshole who I really don't want to have anything to deal with anymore, and thank God, was Net Zero. Okay, this was and it was a free ISP. This was a free internet service provider. Basically, all it really did was just hook you up to the internet. You weren't really dealing with a major company. It was pretty something. I was like the closest thing to independent at the time, and it was free. And it was really hitting hard into those larger companies like AOL, and I can't really remember which was the other big ones at the time. I know if AOL was like the biggest one.
We had CompuServe was another, although they were around before commercial internet really became viable. They had their own network and stuff too.
Yeah, there was a few of them.
Genie was another online service that Sears ran I think Disney had one too, or maybe that's what Disney's was called. I don't know.
Yeah, but you see where I'm getting with this. This was free. This was a free service provider.
Yeah, I
And people were,
remember it now that you talk about it.
yeah, and people were using it. And it was only then that now all of a sudden these companies were taking notice, because it was a matter of time before Net Zero then started charging something like as low as $10 a month, I think I remember. And I was like, damn, that's the end of Net Zero. That was the end of like the alternative to this highly corporatized ISPs. And basically it was the rise of all this like fast internet that gave a lot of these corporations too much power, because they were really the only ones that were supplying it. There are a lot of people out there that could probably create a service provider of their own, but as far as being able to manage it, and especially at that high capacity, I don't think like a small company or a small group of individuals will probably have the means to maintain something that strong.
Back in the 90s, when we're still using dial-up, there were a bunch of people who were paying for a T1 connection, which today's standards is pretty slow, but 20 years ago that was huge pipe. But if 56K modems are as fast as everybody's got, you could get a decent size server, put together a decent sized server with a lot of RAM, because you didn't need a whole lot of CPU cycles. Put in, by a lot of RAM, I mean like 32 megabytes. Okay. And run Linux on it, so you could get that for free. And each machine could easily run a bank of 20 modems. And you could, I don't know how many modems you could have, probably 100 or so for that one T1 line. Now that T1 line is going to be costing you $3,000 a month back then. And a T1, I think, is 1.5 megabit, if I remember correctly. But that's both directions, and it doesn't fill like what you're used to on, say, a cable modem or something like that. But I remember that was the thing. And even when they started doing more high speed with DSL, there were people reselling DSL access as well. In fact, for a while, I had it even here, but it was too slow. But technically, my ISP was USAA. But I had a cable modem box from, it wasn't Time Warner, it was somebody else. But it had to go, so basically it would traverse through the internet to get to where I could get out to the internet, and it was just too slow. But, that kind of thing probably still exists. But, that was only maybe 15, 16 years ago. You could do that kind of thing where, you could, some of that stuff was still borrowed. And then as capacities got larger, more and more people, had multiple machines, and home networking started to become a thing. Yeah, the little mom and pop, they couldn't grow their capacity quickly enough. Or they just got straight out bought by other telecoms. But basically the same thing happened with internet access from about 94 to probably maybe 2010 at the latest. What took like 40 years for the telephone network to happen. So, now the thing is this is why you do VPNs and other things, and I've thought about doing a full-time VPN on my because I can, on my router, I can actually buy a service, and so everything outbound is automatically on a VPN. So I don't have to have it in individual machines. Everything on the network goes through a VPN. Some of them aren't bad. They're like $3 or $4 a month, and but that's what I'm seriously considering. And some of them you can change your country of origin and do all kinds of weird crap. But it's
like
not
using the Tor browser,
right? Because here's what's happening. The government's actually starting to more and more regulate this whole net neutrality label. It's a label that's incorrect and it's misleading. And what they're really doing is they're really starting to tie the hands of the ISPs, and the government's starting to ask for more information. The NSA's been collecting it for years. I mean, people were suspicious they were doing it for a long time, and then they finally said, yeah, we're recording everything. So what a VPN will do, so it's virtual private network. I don't want to get too much into the weeds here, but the idea is that you have to contact essentially a service provider. Your machine and that machine exchange tokens, and they decide what their secrets are going to be. Usually you have some semblance of an account, a password, as well as a passphrase, and then some will do two-factor authentication. So there'll be a lot of them. What they do is they send send a message to your phone, 5-6 digits to input, and it changes every time. Because the idea is there's got to be something that is not discoverable, and they talk encrypted. So obviously it does slow down because it does take more packets to send the same amount of information encrypted than it does unencrypted. And the other side has to process it and decrypt it to figure out what in the world you want to do. And but all that's in memory so that nothing's recorded. So it's a nice way it's a nice way to get out on the dark web too. And almost everything that's good for your privacy has a nefarious use. And but at least your ISP doesn't know where you're going. It doesn't know what websites you're browsing. It doesn't know what games you're playing. Because right now, even if you are sending information encrypted, where you're going is not encrypted. That is clear text, and it's easily recorded. So, especially if you're on a cable modem. If you're on a cable modem, you're basically on a party line, and anybody, excuse me, with the know-how and can tap that line and listen to everything that you and all your buddies are saying on it. So you think if an idiot like me can record it, guess what your ISP can do?
Of course.
Holy shit.
This is the problem with this whole thing. It's that people really, like you said, it's a label, and it is really a fake label. People are falling for it, and I don't know how people are not seeing it. And how we're supposed to
it's like the whole pro-choice movement. Okay, if they were saying we're for killing children, which they are, okay, as opposed to, how can you deny a woman's right to choose? And those labels are chosen, right? And they don't call them pro-lifers; they call them anti-choicers, right? So, yeah, right. And so these labels are purposely chosen, and because there's this false notion that every packet on the internet is equal, and that has never been true, and it will never be true. And it's just now, instead of being based on either protocols or other things, traffic patterns, everything is shaped. Now what companies are doing is they're saying, hey, if you pay us a little bit more, you can watch that streaming through us. Some of it's a competitive thing. This is where I think RICO statutes could be applied if an ISP is too stringent with them. But it started with a conversation when Netflix started streaming, and I am maxing out. This is what I understand. I can hardly hear myself talk, yet my levels when I'm looking at recording, I am redlining like crazy. I'm like 6 inches away from my mic now. You guys still hear me okay?
Yeah, I mean, we can still hear you.
Yeah, but say something we want to hear. But
you're on the roll. Why would I want to interrupt you?
No, people have this mistaken belief that it has something to do with how packets are shaped and priority and all that other stuff, and that's not the case. But basically, 3Com and God bless, is it broadband? No. The problem is some of these companies started choosing common words as their trademarks. That basically the backbone providers of the internet started seeing massive amounts of traffic going through their system, but not to their subscribers, and their subscribers had a problem. People could not use the bandwidth they were paying for because the intra-network traffic, something going from one network to another through them, was eating up the bandwidth. And that's what started the whole thing, is who pays for that? Who gets the priority? So if you're because I guess at some point I really need to do a video on how the internet actually works, because that seems to also be missing from this conversation. But they're interconnected networks, and so it's very similar to. Here's a real world example. So I'm in Cincinnati. So let's say, and there's a lot of trucking and stuff that comes through here. Yes, we have a very large, in Cincinnati, downtown Cincinnati, multiple rail yards. It goes all the way along Mill Creek. But we also have a lot of trucks that come out of Michigan and they go on to Kentucky and Tennessee and right on down 75. So 75, if you look at a map, it goes all the way up into Detroit. I think it may actually cross the border and become some other road in Canada. But it goes all the way to Florida. So if I'm shipping stuff through, let's say, where Nick lives in Atlanta, because I'm on my way to somewhere in Florida, and I'm clogging the roads, who pays for those roads? Okay. Now, in many ways, the people in Atlanta pay for those roads because Atlanta also has its own traffic problems. But there's all kinds of, there'll be schemes for how to, toll roads and other things to get money from people passing through. And so that's what started this whole internet nonsense. And that was a very real concern. Imagine if the police in Atlanta could get north of the city and everybody who wasn't local, say between 4 o'clock in the afternoon to 7 o'clock in the afternoon, was not allowed through the Atlanta streets. Okay. You don't live here. You don't pay taxes here. You have to wait until 7 o'clock and then you get to go. So what kind of impact would that have on I-75 South when you go to, say, Chattanooga or Knoxville? Okay. But that's essentially a real world example of what's going on with net neutrality. That's what started it, is who pays for that infrastructure upgrades. And so companies started to prioritize packets within their network. And then as all these services have gotten more and more popular now, and you're starting to get, like, say, from like here in Cincinnati, it's no longer Time Warner, it's some other screwy name. They're seeing, they have cable as television as well, and that's starting to dry up. Well, they can start providing, say, Netflix access or Hulu access or whatever. So you see this with Verizon. If you have a Verizon phone, you get free, whatever it is, Amazon Video or whatever. So, but the rules don't allow that. There's nothing in the rules that they rolled back that don't allow that. That was already starting. That was already a thing. So what I don't get, this is one of these things I didn't understand in the 90s when I worked with people who would complain about stuff, and it's like, that's not even the law that they're arguing about. That's already the law. It's exactly what people are complaining about. You're not going to have a free, open freeway where every packet is created equal. The internet is not designed that way. And the closest thing you have is an IBM token ring, which is a protocol that we abandoned over 20 years ago. So anyway, enough diatribe. So did I digress enough?
I guess I could say that I've learned a lot. You should be a teacher.
Well, yeah.
You should be a university teacher. So you can indoctrinate some kids.
I don't know if I have the patience for that. Half those kids don't want to be there. Depends on the top.
By the time Lape is done, they will be adults.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, if in many cases, at the university level, if they actually made you take the classes that you really need, you'd have a degree in 3 years. But there's not as much money as in a 4-year degree that takes 6 years. So, yeah, that's a whole other scam. I mean, you talk about a scam and a half. Higher education has become a big scam. And again, it's the Democrats that have created it. So just keep remembering, sometimes people think I sound like a Republican sycophant, but I get sick of the Republicans too. And this is why I'm an anarcho-capitalist and tend to be more libertarian. But it's amazing how often it's the Democrats that have created it. It's like The Republicans will take a bad idea and make it a law, and the Democrats will make it horrible. So,
Horrible.
yeah. I forget where I heard this, but I heard it on a radio. Some pundit once said that the Republicans complain that government doesn't work and Democrats get elected to improve it.
Wow, that is pretty much accurate.
Yeah. And then the thing is, when the Republicans get power, they don't know what to do with it. So they literally, they don't make anything worse, but they don't make anything better. Usually, sometimes. But we'll see. All right, enough. I did say we were going to talk about politics.
I mean, we are getting kind of political. I'm kind of started waking up again, so.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Miss Marvel then. So the future is female, just like the Force is female, because alliteration is for idiots. What do you think about Miss Cheese Larson and her pose?
No expression.
Yeah, did you see the image someone posted where it had her like Marvel on the red carpet at the Oscars at something opening night?
I saw that one. Just like blank, just like
she's a female
I don't want to
Steven
be here.
Seagal. Right.
Mm-hmm. And but just kind of funny is about the whole saying she's gonna break the internet. And I was telling LMP, I said, "You don't break the internet breaks you. That's how it works."
God, I hate that term so much. Break the internet. Like, what the fuck does that even mean?
Well, I think it's supposed to mean generate so much traffic, but nowadays the backbones are so fast. What you're going to really do is overwhelm a server, unless of course someone's put it in the cloud and has it on a Amazon 3S platform, in which case it's distributed all over the world already. You want to say hello?
It's like, it's a dog?
No. Well, there's a dog chewing on something, but are you going to play Overwatch?
It's Toby, isn't it?
It's not Toby.
Dozer.
It's your cereal girl.
My cereal girl?
Yes.
I don't know about that. I mean, I like cereal, yeah, but I don't know about a girl that's made out of cereal. If you can't tell, I'm playing dumb.
I know. It's Kellogg's TapAndDie. That's who he's talking about.
Yeah.
What?
Child of Lape, how are you?
They asked Child of Lape, how are you? You can speak into the microphone. Here, speak into the microphone. There's your level, so keep it in the green.
Ooh, so I should peek the microphone. Wait, no. I wanted to peek.
Oh, there she is.
I can peek the microphone from back. I only have to get this close.
I don't know, man. I really just want it to sound like I've inhaled the microphone.
It does.
Well, you sound a lot better than Lape does, so that's a positive already.
Yeah, she's over her con crud already.
I can already hear Dion yelling and tell her to shut up.
Well, so Nick got to see how close our desks are. They're pretty close. So she's on her phone. You're going to watch what? You're going to sing VeggieTales again?
No, but that was a lot of fun. Disenchantment, have you seen like the commercials for that?
No.
It's actually very entertaining.
You guys hear her?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
Disenchantment?
I can hear her better than you.
I didn't think
Tell her to watch Die Hard. Better movie.
This is
Die Hard's a better movie.
it's a TV show, but okay.
Tell her to watch Futurama. That's a much better show.
Futurama. Yeah. I liked it to a point, and then it got weird. What was the other one Matt did?
Ellie, stop licking.
Actually, there's one that's better than all of them. Oh, The Critic.
Yeah. Oh, is that the Squiggle Vision?
No, I think that's Dr. Katz.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Dr. Katz.
No,
I never
what
could
was it?
stand that Squiggle Vision, though. That drove me nuts. It drove me
No,
up the walls. It drove me up the walls.
Critic-
Do you understand what the walls are?
Oh, God. I can never stand that show. Critic is about a film critic named Jay Sherman, and
Yeah.
the thing is that you know how Hollywood will just randomly create dumb movie ideas? He's basically reviewing those dumb movie ideas. So just to like give you an example, there was one where he's like, "Oh, we're gonna watch Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone 9," and it's like the parents are on the plane, and the mom is like, "We left Kevin home alone, and he's 32," and you see it cuts away to like an aged Macaulay Culkin screaming with a deep voice, "Ah!" in the mirror.
Yeah, John Lovitz. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
Oh man, I want to watch a few more episodes of that show.
Wasn't there a character on The Simpsons, right? Or they do that film festival?
Yeah, they did a crossover. The funny thing is that I didn't know about. I used to watch the show when I was younger. The Critic. I didn't really get a lot of the humor because apparently it's like The Simpsons in many ways. Like you're a kid, you really can't get a lot what they're saying until you're much, much older. So, but on The Simpsons, they made him seem like he was this, like he was like this very popular type of character. Like he was much better than Homer and everything. But then if you actually watch The Critic, it's like his whole life is a mess. He's not really that popular. People don't really like him. He was in a relationship where he ended up having the sole custody of his son, and it's like his son is also a loser, and also voiced by Chucky Finster. So let that speak for itself. And I think there was a joke one time where he meets this woman that has the hots for him, and after their moment together, she's like above, he's like taking a nap, and she's like next to him, and she is like, "Oh, I wonder how a man who is terrible at lovemaking can sleep so peacefully." And then he wakes up like, what was that? And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I said, dear, you were great." It's a good show. It's on YouTube. I think you can find. I think it was only like 2 seasons long. It's called The Critic, and it's just like the little jokes here and there are dead on hilarious.
Yeah,
I'll have to check it out then.
Yeah, I looked it up.
Oh my god,
that actually was, well, I was mixing both of them, but yeah, I remember that show.
Try to watch Miami Vice then.
Yeah. Miami Vice.
You know what's another good show? Well, that's another good show. Not on YouTube, but you can find pretty much the entire series on Daily Motion.
VHS.
No. I started rewatching every episode up until the last 2 seasons, which were god awful in my opinion, of Celebrity Deathmatch.
Oh god, I love that show.
It is one of the best shows on MTV ever created, and sadly, I see no way that it can be revitalized in this current era. There's just no way. It's not even the violence. It's just the little things that the original run had that made it something to be appreciated. I like all the little jokes, all the little lines here and there. For example, like with OJ, they had a match from before he was accused of murder, and he kills Joe Namath in the match, and they play it off like, "Oh, I didn't do it. I'm not the real winner." He's like, "But son, it's okay. You killed him in the death match arena." It's like, "No, I didn't win. I was never here." Oh man, please, ladies and gentlemen, go watch a good show. I don't give a shit about some of the other stuff MTV had. Beavis and Butthead was good, but that's about it.
Yeah, I like Beavis and Butthead the most when they were making fun of the videos.
Oh, those are great.
Yeah.
The little snippets, most of the stuff they did in between was just too stupid for me, but the making fun of the videos was hilarious.
You know what you'll like is that there actually was an episode of Celebrity Deathmatch where they had a match between Beavis and Butthead. I'm not playing. It was an actual match.
Wait, who did they fight? I can't remember.
They fought each other.
Wait, they fight each other? They didn't get like another pair of idiots? Huh.
Yes. 2D characters fought each other to the death on Celebrity Deathmatch.
Yeah, I think the O.J. Simpson one would have been after his trial, but after he was acquitted. Because the trial was in the 90s.
Well, the trial was in the 90s, but they basically played like there are going to be those instances on the show where they will play like a tape of a match from like an earlier.
Oh, it's a claymation. Oh, I remember this. Yeah, okay.
And they even made jokes in that episode in that match. It's like, this is a man with a bright future and career ahead of him. It's not like he will ever do anything to jeopardize it.
Yeah, and I think sometimes they got people to. I don't know where OJ is. He's not listening. I mean, Jessica Simpson is coming up, but two different people voiced her. Tara Strong was Paris Hilton. So various celebrities. Mel Beavis, yeah.
Yeah,
Mike Judge, uncredited episode, 2001. So it was after he was acquitted, but before he got in trouble for trying to steal his memorabilia back.
Oh, way before that.
So, remember we had a episode of the Fancast called "The Juice Is Loose" when he was being let out of jail.
Yep, which really pissed off a lot of people, and me and Kendall were pretty much, at least I remember being in agreement with Kendall about that. Listen, what he was being let off for had nothing to do with the murder. It was about him stealing his own stuff.
Yeah. Attempted robbery, basically.
Yeah. Funny how that happened. You're arrested for stealing your own stuff.
Well, wasn't he hurting for money? I mean, this was one of the things that I didn't agree with. Was it Ron Goldman's dad or whatever brought that civil suit? It's like they went after his money when they couldn't convict him of murder, and that's just wrong. That means you're out for vengeance. You're not out for justice. Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
You did your case, you lost, and unless you have more evidence to get a retrial, you're done. This whole civil nonsense was just stupid.
Mm-hmm.
To me, in my
it's
view,
like the book.
It made him seem very petty.
It's just like with the book that OJ was supposed to come out with. If I Did It, that is the name of the title of the book. And what ended up happening was, I think in the end, like, so much controversy was generated from Bowman family that they ended up cutting the deal with OJ. They released the book, but the way it was titled, If I Did It, I think it was something like the cover read, I did it, but it's like a very little if in the middle of the I or something like that. So it's like, it'll read it will read if you see it, if I did it, but from far away it reads like I did it, and it had OJ's name on it. So I think the controversy at the time was also that, again, they ended up cutting the deal with OJ because that was supposed to be the book that is like, well, this is how I would have done the murder if I did it. So it went from something like was going to be for him, like he was going to profit off, to something now that the family of the victims are going to profit off. So that was the other controversy. That ultimately, like Lape said, it was a very petty thing to do, but I mean, he got to quit. There's nothing more that can be said about that. He had a better case.
The glove doesn't fit. How they say it? What was that quote?
Well, if it doesn't fit,
fit,
it must have quit. But they had nothing to do with the glove. It was the actions. It was what he was. Yeah, not Farrakhan. What was his lawyer's name? What he was getting at was the whole idea that Simpson would lie in wait and do all these things. Didn't fit his personality, didn't fit his public persona. So that was if it doesn't fit, you must have quit. Because the glove was a fiasco. I mean, that was, you never put evidence in the hand of your defendant. And that's exactly what they did. And he had rubber gloves on. And at the time, I think I've said this on this show, I even had a pair of driving gloves that fit my hands fine because I used to wear them. And I watched how he held his hand and where he put his thumb. And I demonstrated to people that I worked with. I said, here, let me put the glove on. Goes on perfectly. They can't tell the difference. I placed my hand slightly differently, mostly where my thumb placement went, and then I couldn't pull it on. And it was exactly the same thing he did. Plus, the rubber gloves also make it almost impossible to get leather gloves on. So, yeah, that was just dumb. But, yeah, you had a lot of, the blood, there was some blood ailment that he had that they found in the blood, and there's like, I don't know, 12 people on the planet that have that genetic disorder, and it's like, get them all together and ask them where they all were. So, but it's L.A. I mean, look at the Menendez brothers. They confessed and were found not guilty. So, although they eventually they went to jail for something, because they think when they just up for parole recently. So that's the other side of it. It's L.A. and Johnny Cochran, that was his lawyer's name. Well, one of them. The other one was Kardashian. So that's where Papa Kardashian became. But he already was rich, but that's where he became infamous. That's where the name came from.
And that's also where we got the Chewbacca defense from.
Yeah. And I forget when was Chris married to him first and then married Bruce? I think that's how it happened.
But no, I don't follow that specifically.
Well, see, I knew Kris Jenner back in the day. Not newer. I mean,
you knew him. You hung out with Kris Jenner.
Yeah.
That explains a lot.
So she was married to Kardashian until 91. But see, in 91 she married Bruce. But man, I could have sworn I heard about Kris Jenner back in the 70s, but obviously not. When Bruce was doing all the decathlon stuff and winning gold, but I guess not. I guess it was in the 90s. That's just very strange. I don't know. Obviously, my memory is very wrong. But anyway. So
okay.
I cannot believe we've not been talking for an hour yet. It feels like we've been talking for days. You guys need to
Tell us
talk
about
more.
the dinosaurs.
You guys need to talk some more while I go looking for the Hall of Fame inductee for tonight.
All right.
Fair point.
I'll say something. And one of those pictures, wasn't it the scrolls or something like that? I think.
I saw that.
Oh, and it's funny because I was thinking about how there's an older episode of the show where Dion, well, the guys were, I think, discussing, how to continue the MCU or something. I forgot what it was, but Dion brings up how to bring in the invasion, the Skrull invasion. And I was thinking it's kind of funny. It's like, oh, they finally brought in the Skrulls. I guess maybe they do listen to the show. We just don't know it. That's what happened.
Well, see, here's the question that now I have. Because, let me ask you this. Where were the Skrulls really originated from?
I think if I know. I don't follow the comic. I'm just saying, I was just pointing out about what Dion said. I don't know much about the Skrulls.
Well, here's the thing. The Skrulls, from my understanding, are associated with the Fantastic Four, which are not part of the... Yeah. So, but remember, I think they were part of Fox, the Fantastic Four, correct?
Well, from what they said on the show, I believe so, yeah.
Film rights, right.
I think they were trying to discuss how to make Fantastic... I think Dion was trying to make Fantastic Four, how to make it better, because, all the movies so far are pretty much shit. So he was pointing out, so that's probably why he did the Skrulls. This whole Skrulls thing.
No, but here's the thing, and I find this a little interesting. If the movie has... Okay, this movie obviously has to have been in production maybe about a year or two by now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no way this movie has not been in production at least a year. At least it needs to be at least a year. Meaning that all this promotional footage and everything, a lot of editing and whatnot, it has to have been in for a while now. Now, when did the Disney and Fox merger begin officially? Like, when was that finalized?
Did they finalize? I thought they just bought them. I don't know if they really
bought them, whatever.
Was it a few months ago? A month or two ago?
Yeah, it pretty much was still within the year, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is my thing. The Skrulls are part of the Fantastic Four, and the film rights for the Fantastic Four were through Fox.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all of a sudden, we see the Skrulls in a Disney Marvel movie, Captain Marvel. Are you starting to understand what I'm getting at with it?
I see what you're saying, but what I thought was that different characters were their own entities. I think they were discussing it once. Shield, it's separate. I mean, yeah, it could be associated with whatever character, but they could own it. I'm thinking maybe they own the scrolls, even though they are part of Fantastic Four. They probably, like, Fox just owned it, the Fantastic Four. They didn't own their enemies. I mean, maybe they do. Like I said, I don't know much about that part, but I would say I'm thinking maybe they already own the scrolls because they probably, because it's a shared universe as far as the comic books were concerned, even though they're mostly associated with the Fantastic Four.
Well, the thing is that the film rights just basically means you can show the characters on screen. So Disney really, because as a right, I mean, that's the reason why we never got to see any of the X-Men in any of the Disney MCU movies as of yet, because of the fact that Fox is the only one that has the film rights to it. It's also one of the reasons we don't see Deadpool, despite the fact that, yes, Disney does own all these comic book characters technically. Same thing with Spider-Man. They they had to work out a deal with Sony. But my whole thing is, if the Skrulls are indeed part of the Fantastic Four filmverse, and the Fantastic Four filmverse means that Fox can utilize anything. Now, unless I would have to really take a good look at that contract to see what exactly is written on it. But something that to me just doesn't sit right once I saw the Skrulls, and I'm like, wait a second. The timeline of events seems to suggest that Disney knew for some time that they were going to have access to I mean, the Skrulls necessarily don't have to be the Fantastic Four, but something here to me does not ring well. Like almost as if this was something that was planned ahead of time with anticipation, and it was just waiting for the right moment to execute it. So call me conspiracy theorist on this one, but I have reason to believe this was something that was really already in the planning stages and only recently came to light with the Disney buying out Fox. Again, now that's just me. That's just me. But something doesn't ring right to me about this. And now that I've gotten to see some of the promotional, I guess, photos, images, it just kind of goes to reaffirm what I long suspected, that it was only a matter of time of when Disney would essentially acquire the rights to certain characters that had not yet been in any of their Disney properties. Now, the Skrulls, in my mind, would be a fantastic way to reboot the MCU, but I don't know. Like, part of me thinks that this is just the wrong time to introduce them.
But well, probably they could have been talking for a while. I mean, honestly, I could believe them talking and them exchanging, saying, hey, this and that, whatever deal they were going to make, and not tell anybody. I mean, I could see that. I mean, it's not exactly far out there to believe that they were discussing behind closed doors before announcing anything about what they were going to do, and that maybe that Fox was like, hey, we're going to sell it. You got the money. I know you got the money, Disney. We're going to let you know, and maybe they'll work on it, and they probably Disney might have been like, okay, let's start making sure we got the money to pay for it when the time comes when they actually announce it, they're going to sell it. So, like I said, it's not that far-fetched. Maybe it did happen, maybe it didn't. It's logical.
That's the thing. We won't know unless we were to somehow, if someone out there somewhere has access to this information and is, I don't know, willing to get and it somehow gets lost for the public to see, well, then then that can answer a lot of questions and maybe could even shed some light on some stuff that a lot of us may suspect, but just really have no way of verifying unless we saw some actual documentation, evidence or something. But I just find the timing of all that, the Skrull reveal, even a little bit odd. And honestly, as far as Captain Marvel is concerned, she to me is really a pointless character. MCU wise, I don't get it. Other than the fact that they have to use this movie to push the whole female narrative, despite the fact that Wonder Woman was really only recently, at least the world. The only reason why I haven't seen Wonder Woman, and to be honest with you, is because it to me did not stand out. Like we waited for years for a proper Wonder Woman movie to hit the big screen like this, and feel like a lifetime event. This is Wonder Woman. That's a character that's known internationally.
Yeah, but we got Wonder Gal, and that's why. We didn't
Yeah,
pick Wonder
exactly.
Woman.
Oh,
Oh,
I
and
spoke
just
about Wonder Woman.
right, and just
He
in
was just
case,
waiting to pounce on that.
right, and just in case
Oh.
Jeff is still listening, Gal Gadot. Gal Gadot. That's how you say her name. All right, go
I'm
on.
gonna say Gadot.
I know, just to irritate me. Go ahead.
So,
Gadot.
Gadot.
Not Gadot, Gadot. It's not, and it's not Gadot. Oh. All right.
Gadot.
But see, Wonder
Gadot.
Woman was only an
Gadot.
okay movie. It wasn't, and she wasn't the hero.
It
That's
was
the
an
thing
okay
that
movie.
irritates me the most about that movie. It's like, well, it was a Zack Snyder script, so what do I expect?
What is going on?
Stop.
All right, Kella sounds like she's got something to say.
Yeah, let her.
I muted her so you guys can continue. So, because I'm still doing research.
You should have her on the show. Just let her say what she has to say. I'm pretty sure she has interesting things to say.
She's talking to somebody
Yeah.
else.
Tell her stop playing Overwatch and get on the
She's
show.
not playing Overwatch.
PUBG. She's playing PUBG.
PUBG.
Whatever that show is called. Or, I mean, whatever that game's called.
Yeah. I don't know what PUBG is, but she said Disenchant. We'll watch Disenchant.
I heard
I
of
like
that
to watch
show.
quality
Actually,
stuff.
I haven't watched.
So, LMP, I completely derailed your train of thought there.
Oh, the whole Wonder Woman thing and versus Captain Marvel. Yeah, that the whole thing is basically that it's almost as if the world right now wants to have selective memory and forget that Wonder Woman really just happened only recently. And the only thing that upset me about Wonder Woman is that, you know, we've discussed it to death how that is a very iconic character, not just here in the United States, but known throughout the world. You know, there are translations for Wonder Woman. Example, Latin America, Mujer Maravilla, literally translated to Wonder Woman. Like, it exists around the world. And if anything, it should have been a much more bigger, larger-than-life event than it really was. It didn't feel like it. And people like myself who have been waiting years to see a proper Wonder Woman, or hell, even a proper Batman versus Superman movie. Thanks a lot for fucking that one up, Zack Snyder. You know, we haven't gotten that event. All of a sudden now, because it's MCU related, and we have a female character attached to it as the lead role, all of a sudden we're going back to this whole first, I won't say first female, but they're making it feel like it is. Like it's the first ever major female superhero character release, despite the fact that as much as, I mean, Gal Gadot is not an ugly woman, but she's not, I mean, she's a beautiful woman, but she's not like Wonder Woman material. But at least I can understand why they chose her. The only reason why I see they chose Brie Larson to play, God knows what she's supposed to be. I'm assuming a fan turned superhero. I don't see any other appeal other than talking points for why they chose her. She is pretty. I'm gonna catch a lot of flack for this. She is pretty meh looking. She's not really hot. I don't know where people get this idea that she is hot. She looks pretty bland and bored. Like, she makes Kristen Stewart look like an Oscar-worthy actress. And that's it. I think she was in a movie about a shark, and that was all I remember about her. I don't know why you would pick like the most like bland character out there. At least all the other choices you've had for the MCU have been dead on. Your choices for Black Panther have been dead on. Your choice for who should play Black Widow has been pretty spot on. Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, I can never unsee that ever happening, no matter how many times Marvel Comics wants to change the narrative. The previous Human Torch is now Captain America, and it's a good fit. Thor is perfect. Like, you see where I'm going with this?
Mm-hmm.
Only reason they chose Brie Larson was because she's a puppet, and that's it. She is not really the most pleasing on the eyes. I'm not saying she's ugly, but she's pretty plain. Like, she's that outfit on her is not flattering. At least with Gal Gadot, maybe she wasn't Wonder Woman like body type, but at least the outfit was a nice outfit on her. At least it was flattering to her. It was sexy. It was still appealing. It was still beautiful, and it still made her give her some semblance of Wonder Woman. again, I can criticize a lot of things, but at least they got some idea of how to make the outfits tailor and flatter the person that's wearing it. Captain Marvel, that outfit just like I really think they just wanted to capture the essence of Carol Manvers in this movie, and they're doing a spot on job of that.
Daryl Manvers.
Daryl Manvers, thank you.
Yeah, it does. It does seem to be, an SJW monkey in the MCU henhouse. There was some of that in a few previous movies. We get a little bit more of it in the Ant-Man and Wasp. It's heavy-handed, but in very, very short doses. And it really feels like Captain Marvel is going to be 2 hours of force-fed dribble. I hate to say it, but it sure feels that way.
I was going to say, did you see a Diversity in Comics video on it?
No.
He did a video about there's the Captain Marvel movie. Sorry, I lost my thought there. And it was pretty funny he did that, but he was talking about it, and he was looking at the pictures they had released, and there was that one image where she's wearing like a 9 Inch Nails t-shirt and all that. And it was funny because he was pointing out, like, look at her face, like she does not look like she's happy to be there, and all that stuff. But I thought it was funny too is when he pointed out about Jude Law was in there, and he was getting all excited, like, hey, Jude Law's in there, and I like Jude Law too. But it was funny is because there's one image where Jude Law's in there with Brie Larson, but it kind of looks like Jude Law's the main star. Like this movie's going to be about him. It's kind of weird how that one image does that. It looks like he's the main star. Like the story's going to follow him, kind of like a little bit kind of like how Wonder Woman was. It was about Wonder Woman, but then he also has was it Steve Trevor? Was his name? How he was involved heavily too. As far as the plot goes. Yeah. But that's what it kind of feels like. I was thinking about that. So if you ever get a chance, watch a Diversity in Comics video on that. Maybe you can see it too. I don't know.
Steve Trevor is the driver of the plot in Wonder Woman. Mm-hmm. Without him, there is no plot. He arrives, he drives, he kind of pushes her. He prevents her from making a big scene with the general. And then in the end, he saves the day. This is why I say she's not the hero. He is. Because he's the one that blows up the plane that had all the gas to kill the people. And all she does is fight somebody. She fights Ares, but she doesn't need to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's the reason she feels all tingly inside.
Yeah, so this is why I don't think Wonder Woman, the second one's going to do anywhere close to the first one, but we'll see. Wonder Woman 86 or whatever they're calling it. I forget what the next one. I thought they were calling it
89.
85. 85, whatever. Yep, they got to explain what she did since World War One. What have you been doing for 100 years?
It's like, just chilling.
Oh shit.
She's just been chilling.
Or as Nick called her, the Batman of Paris. That was funny.
Oh, God.
When she jumps off.
Well, at least it'll be accurate. Paris pre-invasion, so there's that.
Right.
Yeah, you think she would have stopped the Nazis, but hey, you know what? Maybe she was agreeing with Hitler a little bit.
No. She's a Zionist Jew. She's not a turncoat.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Hopefully, she'll sign my Uzi whenever I get a chance to bring her one. I'll get her signature on it.
Yeah, and people tell me, but she was in the Israeli army. Well, so what? She was in the Israeli army as and what was her job in the army? Physical instructor. She did
like a shitload of people in the Israeli army.
Yeah,
everyone joins up.
She ran people through PT.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Pull-ups, sit-ups, run, that kind of stuff. Yeah, people. It was amazing. By the time people were done, she had like 9-degree black belt and knew all kinds of crazy. And it's like, no, she wasn't in special forces. She wasn't.
Yeah, it's not like she was finding the Golan Heights or the Suez Canal. She wasn't no 6-Day War or the Yom Kippur War.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, I found an article about her. It was basically, I think, when the Fast and Furious came out, and so it had in there she actually talked about her military experience, and the thing that she said that was the greatest thrill essentially was getting these people in that were out of shape and whipping them into shape, running with PT and stuff like that. So I was like, well, nope, she's not some freaking war hero. And, granted, I wasn't in the Army, but let's let her record speak for exactly what it is. Let's not make anything of it, and let's not belittle it either. So
She was a pogue, that's why. That's what she was.
Pogue.
Yeah, persons other than grunts. She wasn't frontline right there like that.
Persons other than grunts. Oh, that's...
That's a good one. I've never heard that one before.
Yeah, it's like I think I first heard it from it's like a Marine thing I mostly hear. I'm sure it's in the Army too, but I know it's I've heard it said by Marines. But that's what it was.
Well, that's how they describe the rest of the military, because they're all grunts. And then the Air Force is the country club of the military.
Mm-hmm. Then you got the canoe club. The Coast Guard's the canoe club.
The canoe club. That's funny. I've never heard that before. That's about right, though.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh my God! Which one of you dogs did that?
Oh hell!
Oh my! I thought I had gas. Shoot!
Oh shit!
Ain't nothing like no dog farts. Oh my!
You know that Lape has 3 dogs, right?
Yeah, was it Kellogg, Toby? Was it Toby?
Kellogg is my daughter.
You said Kellogg was a dog.
No, that's my
No,
daughter.
that's the child of Lape. That's his daughter.
I thought Kellogg was a dog. Was the other dog?
No, that's her. That's her handle on YouTube. That's what, and she's the one in the videos with me.
Oh, I thought that was. I thought
Toby and those are right.
Toby, Dozer, and Ellie.
Yeah, those are 3 dogs. Now, how many heads did the Cerebus have?
Say 3, TapAndDie. Say 3.
3.
Okay. Now, here's the thing that you don't know about Lape. The 3 dogs that he has now, those are descendants from when Lape first tamed the Cerebus.
What?
Do you even know what that dog is? Do you even know what he's talking about?
No, that's why I'm like, what? What are you talking about?
So you don't know your Greek mythology. So, okay, LMP, explain to the listeners what the hell you're talking about.
Okay, so Greek mythology, the Cerebus, 3-headed dog, ancient Greece. Think about just how old that is.
Oh,
now,
okay. Oh, okay.
And he has 3 dogs now. They're all descendants of a 3-headed dog.
Yes, but what did it guard?
Was it something? I remember something having to do with was it something with the underworld? Wasn't it?
Yep.
Just can't remember what.
Oh, you know what? Now I know why I didn't. I pronounce it Kerberos. I don't pronounce it Cerebus, only because of some movie I saw. I didn't think about it Cerebus. That's what threw me off probably. But anyway, continue. LMP.
There's different pronunciations for it.
But don't worry, there'll be more.
Also known as the Hound of Hades, multi-headed dog.
There we go.
Yeah, now I remember from the cartoon. I remember seeing the 3-headed dog from the Hercules cartoon, the Disney one.
So it's the 12 Laborers of Hercules. I thought he guarded. So that's what I was actually. Oh yeah, the underworld to prevent the dead from leaving. That's right. So this is why some security things are also used that name, Cerebus, whichever. Mm-hmm. He's trying to say I'm old is what he's trying to say.
Yep.
Well, I knew that.
So. Well, you didn't know what the Cerebus was the pronunciation was at first, but that's fine. You at least understood that I'm saying Lape is old. Don't worry, I have a few more.
Yeah. Let's hear them.
Well, I was gonna save this one for later, but I guess I'll say it right now.
Well, hey, we got 10 minutes, so might as well.
Okay, so here's another fun fact. Let me just give me a second to prepare for this one. So, fun fact. Back in the old days, when he was out to lunch with King Solomon, Lape could not decide on what to order. Both of them decided to split their order in half.
You almost had a joke there. That was close.
Listen, it was better when I said it the first time, but I didn't write this one down.
Yeah.
The main thing to note is that, again, the joke establishes one thing. Lape is old.
Yeah, they carbon date him, right?
I'm old and anus.
Also, did you also know another fun fact? Lape was actually the first person in recorded history to be involved in a DUI when he ran his wheel into the Rubble's house.
LMP, why are you so mean to Lape?
You know what's funny? This all really started as something that one day I was really bored. I forgot which live stream they were doing. I was really bored, and I said, all right, well, nobody seems to be paying attention to the dumb shit I'm saying, so let me see just what dumb shit I can say and see if it catches on. So I just, and if you ever watch me on any other streams, I will start saying dumb shit, like just retarded levels of dumb shit. Like, okay, he's just doing this for attention type of thing. Or no one can be that stupid. So one day, I remember, I didn't think about it myself, and I was like, oh, Lape is so old that he once crossed the Delaware with George Washington, and I think you responded to that one, Lape. And I was like, oh, shit. So people are actually reading these. And so I was like, all right, so let me start with some Lape's old jokes. And then the one where I said that he turned all the water in Egypt into beer and then gave it a bad review. It got read on during one of the live streams. Jeff read it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start making this a thing. I'm going to start making it a thing where I will randomly just start throwing out Lape's old jokes and see who responds to these or who starts continuing the trend.
Mm-hmm.
So Lape's already on notice. I will continuously do Lape's old jokes until I can no longer think of any other way to say he is so old. Consequently, I'm pretty sure they have come up with ways, and he has ways, I'm pretty sure Lape does, on just how Mexican I am. So ultimately, I think I think there'll be a fair amount of cutting ass on one another going on in the future.
Well, here then, let me get it on this. I got a Lape's old joke. Okay, Brian,
shoot.
Lape, his first Christmas was the first Christmas. There.
All right, that's a good start.
There. Simple. I think I stole that from somewhere. I feel like I've heard it somewhere, but I just don't remember where. But then I'll work on some better ones.
Oh, shit. See, Lape, I'm continuing the trend. He's continuing the trend.
I'm just going to think of all kinds of medieval ones or something like that. Just something to do with German. That's what I need to do. That's what they need. They need to be German-themed old jokes or something like that.
You know what? Now that we're on German and Lape, I mean, you could make like Lape is so German jokes type of that, and just throw out like German-related stuff that Lape would only be able to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. But you don't know German.
Listen, Lape, we still love you. It's just that
I'm so
the other guys make fun of you, but we want to make fun of you in our way. So
that's fine.
Yeah.
That'll work.
Yeah, you guys are free to make fun of me and how spickish I am. I will take no offense to it, unless you confuse me for the wrong kind of spick, in which case at that point there might be a fight going on. But other than that, I'll be a good sport about it.
You're freaking El Salvadorian.
God damn you! I don't kill people.
How much people hated El Salvadorians. I think my grandma told me, she's like, man, them El Salvadorians. I'm like, well, what do you got against them? It's like, they're so mean, they're aggressive, they're more aggressive. Like, okay. Even though you're the one who's sounding aggressive right now.
Well, your grandma might, your grandma definitely sounds like she's a smart woman. So I don't know. You might want to listen to her on this one.
Yeah, I should. I don't ever met an El Salvadorian, so I wouldn't know. That's why. That I'm aware of.
I'm pretty sure I pissed off none of them because none of them probably listen to the show. Yet, at least.
Maybe we have at least one El Salvadorian, like, who makes a comment. Like, don't be talking shit. Like, yeah.
There's going to be that day we get 100 subscribers. We still won't have one Salvadorian listener.
All right. Is that it?
That awkward silence proves my point.
Yep.
All right. Any more topics you guys want to talk about or not talk about? Rock lobster, slush turtles. There's some 70s
Well, the other day
jokes.
I flunked math and I was a little attracted to Alex Jones.
Oh, yeah.
The frogs were gay from the start.
We forgot about the traps.
Oh, man. It's just Alex Jones just likes himself some chicks with dicks, apparently.
How come I can't find this
I'm
file?
so tired of that joke.
Oh, it is.
Just remember, traps are gay.
Yes,
And they like to
are.
activate
It's just like,
hard.
okay, I get it. Sometimes I just get tired of that joke. You know, there's that joke you just hear too many times. That's me on that one.
Yeah.
But see, guys, if I don't continue to joke, then how can I continue making the like, you activated my trap card jokes? Come on, these are classics.
Yeah. Hearing too often about how Dion doesn't like horses.
I mean, like that one.
Although I have to admit, I witnessed
He doesn't like horses?
firsthand that he walked across. We were waiting to cross the street, which was on the side we needed to be, and the horses, drawn carriages they had the light, and they were going to walk right across this field of view. It was like 3 lanes away, and he's instead crossed the street the other way, and then we went around him. So I've seen it firsthand.
So he's afraid of horses, basically.
It's all conspiracy. They're here to kill us. Don't you know anything? Don't you know?
About the horses?
Don't you know?
Well,
Or
they did
Dion.
kill Superman. So I don't understand this. They can kill Superman, but they can't kill Goku.
Who?
Goku. Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he don't know. Lape don't know nothing about
I
it.
don't.
He
I
was
know Dragon Ball
before-
Z, but I don't know the characters. So yeah, you're right. I don't know.
He was around before anime, but, you know.
I don't know.
But
I don't know how the
I'm
hell
sold.
he
It was
doesn't
Dragon
know-
Ball Q.
Oh my god! I don't know how you don't know what who Goku is. I'm pretty sure you was this guy was born way after you even. I'm pretty sure Lape conceived like the first anime back during the Stone Age, and it just got lost and the Japanese found it.
Oh, yeah, kind of like that
I'm
Boondocks
like really-
episode where it makes a script, and like, how you make a script if there's no cameras or something like that, a film script.
All right.
That's
Yeah,
what-
that's again. I have reason to believe Lape was the first person to create anime and just left the original plans in Japan somewhere, and it only took the Japanese like several centuries to actually find it. And they said, "Oh, this is pretty good. We should start creating this." And that's how we have anime this, to this very day. We have no one else to blame but Brian Lape.
Yeah, Lape probably invented traps.
Oh,
Yes, but not that kind.
so you're the reason I play trap cards every day.
I'm the reason. I'm
I
the
bet he
reason.
doesn't even know what I'm talking about. He's just agreeing.
Yeah. All right. Let's wind this thing out. Callie's getting all worked up about some stupid K-pop tickets. All right. If we got nothing else to talk about, anybody want to burn their shoes before we go?
Yeah, sure.
No, but can I bury my Captain Marvel comics?
I don't care what you do with your Captain Marvel comics, and I don't want to hear about it. Just remember that alliteration is for idiots.
Good, because I don't have any comics. I just wanted to burn something with Brie Larson's face on it.
Okay, whichever. All right, so let's close this out, and we'll say adios. So this has been episode 48, and I have been your lovable host, Brainmuffin, the lifting nerd, and with me has been TapAndDie.
Don't forget to brush your ass.
Don't forget it's a long time we've had that from Phil. And close us out, LMP. Liquid Metal Pro.
I think Senor Pro already left. He just left his shit here and left. Now, where is it that the spill is at? I need to clean.
I don't know what you said, but passive cerveza, let's go. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Wait. I need to know where I need to do the cleaning. I'm going to be here alone for the next 15 hours. I want to get paid $5 for this job. Let's just make it real awkward for her when she does get on the show.
Okay, so we forgot to announce the Fancaste's Hall of Fame. So it is
Emi
Emi Kobayashi. Kobayashi. Congratulations, you are the weakest link. No, the Hall of Fame.
Congratulations. Those are the most beautiful mounds I've seen in a while.
Hall of Fame for episode 48. Now, if LMP is done, let's roll the bumper music and go home.
All right. Well, that being said, I got some garbage to take out. I'm pretty sure Lape would know that I'm using the methods that he invented early in the early days of the Roman sanitation project.
Okay, are you done? Really?
I'm saying you're old.
I know. Good night.
I thought we were going our separate ways, like for real.
I thought he was, yeah, that's what I thought. A minute.
Okay, I'm recording again. What do you guys want to say? So I said good night. I mean, I don't want to spend the next 2 hours editing all this together.
Good night.
Lape is old. He invented good night. There you go.
And anus. Good. Wait a minute.
No, on us.
Good night, Kendo.